Welcome to our Google Workspace webinar. My name is Sarah, and I'll be guiding us through our agenda today, focusing on Google Spaces. You may think about Spaces as a great place to have conversation via chat, but there's actually a lot more to it in terms of coming together around surfacing relevant files and assigning and delegating tasks as needed as well. So let's get into a demo and take a look at some workflows you may want to consider to really up your collaboration game. When you're in Gmail, if you're a new user to Spaces, it's nested right underneath where you see your access for chat. Clicking on the plus sign will give you an opportunity to browse some spaces that may already be curated for your organization that you could have access to. In many instances, though, it may be appropriate for you to create a space if you're allowed to do so by your organization. So let's simulate that we are going to have a new project starting for my team. So we're going to call this Project 2022 as we gear up for next year. And then we can begin to enter the names and our email addresses of people who are going to be a part of this group. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in just a couple of colleagues to get us started. We'll have some choices then around deciding how we'd like to see replies. I'm a fan of using threaded replies so that we can group together or bundle things that are related in nature. And then we can determine if it's appropriate for people outside of the organization to join, if that's allowed. In this case, I want to keep it to my internal team, so I'm not going to select that option. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. It takes just a moment, and we'll see that space then appear. If we wanted to kick off the chat, it's as simple as clicking on the fact that we would like to start a new thread. And this is where I would type my welcome message, adding in perhaps a Drive file to start with, or other content as needed. The Files tab is just to the right of the Chat tab, which is the default view. Files allows me to go in and pull in file content and begin to curate it here. Or as I reference files for my team to think about in chat, so let's pull one in as a sample. We'll see them listed there in that Files tab. So if I wanted them to see this nice slide deck I'm using today, I could insert that, send it, and of course, it's going to do a permissions check along the way. So I'm going to say with this group, they're able to view that information. I'm going to go ahead and send it through. So certainly it's part of our chat, but now will be visible for us in the list of files as well. This is really handy as our project progresses, and there's a variety of different file types that may be living in different shared drives or in some people's My Drive spaces. This will bring us a nice curated list, hopefully saving us some time as the project moves on. Another amazing feature within Spaces is the ability to collaborate together using tasks. I'm going to add a space task. So let's say we need to set up a call with Marvin. And as we do, we can put in other details like review the budget. And from here, dates and assignments of who's going to be in charge of that task. So I could choose to assign it to myself or a colleague, perhaps relating to the discussion we might have had earlier today in a morning meeting. I'm going to select to add, and now that task is viewable. Anyone from our group will be able to see that, cross it off as needed, or add extra tasks for the rest of the group too. So I hope that you could see some nice possibilities for pulling your team together in a space so that whether we're in the same building or not, whether we're a team that works partially hybrid and partially in person or completely virtual, this can give us room not only to connect together on projects, but also around potentially just team check-ins and announcements, a space for us to have some fun and build culture with one another, and just improve overall atmosphere of awareness of what's happening with other people relating to the good work that we all do. So, again, we find that space nested underneath our chat. Should you have more questions about getting up and rolling with spaces, we'll encourage you to check out some of Google's help articles and information. You can find a nice link to get into Google support through the question mark icon and then selecting the training option. And if you look up top, there's an option for you to go in and put in some of your questions. So if I wanted to learn more about chat and harnessing the power of chat, you're going to have the opportunity to hop right on in and do a deeper dive. We want to thank you for joining today's session and look forward to sharing additional tips and hints with y'all again in the future.